The regular season might be over, but we are going to continue our Upset Alert series. We're going to take a look at some of the conference championship games. And, normally we pick the 8 games that are most likely to be upsets. Spread has to be 4 points or more. Really, we couldn't even do that this week because a lot of the spreads are less than 4 points. Almost all of the conference championship games have really low spreads. The reason why that is, in my opinion, is because we don't have division. So you're getting the 2 best teams. You don't have, that situation like last year, Michigan versus Iowa, not the 2 best teams of the Big Ten. If it had been Michigan, Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, it would have been a much lower spread. I don't know what the spread was, but that's just an example there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick the 6 games that involve top 25 teams. So the Power 4 conference championship games in the American Conference and the Mountain West. And I'm going to rank these games from least likely to most likely to be an upset. And so that's the way we're going to do it this week, and just kind of briefly talk about each conference championship game. Maybe I'll just go ahead and give you a prediction for these games as well. So let's start with the least likely, in my opinion, and that is Tulane and Army. So this game is going to be Friday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time on ABC. Tulane favored by 4.5 points in this one. This is an interesting matchup. Tulane's coming off of that tough loss to Memphis, which that potentially could keep them out of the playoff. What if UNLV beats Boise State? Tulane would have had a great argument to get into the playoff, but now that's out the window. I mean, they're not even ranked anymore. But I actually do think they have a great shot to win this game. I think they probably will win this game. We'll give you a prediction there. I don't think Army's that good. I think the triple option is something where you can out scheme other teams that are of a similar talent level, but I think Tulane's just got a lot more talent on the roster. I think the line of scrimmage, they'll match up well. I think Tulane wins this game pretty easily, or not, by a touchdown or so. Not easily, 7 to 10 points, kind of in that range. So yeah, my prediction is Tulane. I think this is the least likely upset to happen out of these 6 games. So yeah, I'm going with Tulane in that one. But you never know. Army could prove me wrong. We'll see. Next, we've got Clemson, SMU in the ACC Championship. This game's at 8 o'clock Eastern time on ABC. SMU favored by just 2.5 points in this game. So my thoughts on this one. If you've watched Clemson all year, Clemson's not a great team this year. They're just not. They're a solid football team. Their defense, I think, has played pretty well, especially down the stretch. The offense has been up and down, had some good moments. I don't think they're a bad team. I think they are a top 25 team, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're a great team, and they've had a lot of injuries as well. So injuries, this team's kind of getting beat up a little bit. SMU, I don't know, but I think they have the potential to actually be a top 10 team. They might be a top 10 team. I haven't really seen them play elite competition, so it's hard to know, but they've been a little bit more impressive to me. So I think SMU's the better team here. SMU may be playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder, because I think if you look at where they've been ranked since these rankings started coming out, I think you probably feel like you've been disrespected a little bit if you're SMU, and you don't want to risk potentially not making the playoff with a loss here. Clemson's just honestly probably going to be happy to be here. Doesn't really feel like they deserve to be here with 3 losses, but 2 of those losses were in the non-conference, so they did earn it, but it just, it kind of feels like, yeah, they lucked into this with Miami losing. So yeah, I think SMU probably wins this game. Another similar score, I think they win by 7 to 10 points. Again, not really seeing the upset here. Next, we've got Arizona State, Iowa State. This game will be at noon Eastern time on ABC. Arizona State favored by 2.5. Again, the low number. Arizona State is just hot. They've been playing really good football. Now, they did lose their best wide receiver to an injury. That could factor in here. Iowa State's a solid football team. I think this is a pretty even matchup. Again, I like the Sun Devils in this game just because of the way they've been playing, the momentum that they've got. The injury could be a big deal. We'll see. And I do think Iowa State has a shot. So we're getting into the games now where I think there is a shot for an upset. Really, the first 2, I feel confident that Tulane is going to win. I feel confident that SMU is going to win. Of course, I would love to see Clemson win just to put the committee in that situation where they've got to decide SMU or Alabama. That would be fun to see, just to see what the committee does. But Yeah, I think Arizona State probably wins this game, but I think it's close, and I could definitely see them losing. So I think we're getting into games where there's a little bit more likely of a chance that we do see an upset. Next, we're going to go to Penn State, Oregon. This one's at 8 o'clock Eastern time on CBS. Oregon's favored by 3.5. This one should be, I think it's going to be a very solid game. It's hard for me to really give Penn State a great shot when James Franklin, we all know it, he just can't win big games. And maybe this is finally the game where he gets it done. I've heard some talk about like Oregon not even going all out in this game, maybe holding some stuff back because they want to save it for the playoff. Maybe Penn State could be in that same situation as well. I don't know I think these teams are going to really try to win these games. Now, if you've got an injury, if you got a player that's injured, that injury could get worse. You don't have to have this win. Maybe a player doesn't play, and that's a situation where maybe these teams don't go all out. But I think as far as play calling and all that goes, look, we've had an entire season. Teams have plenty of film on all the other teams, so I don't think that's going to be a factor. Oregon has been the better team. I think they win this game, but Penn State's pretty good in the trenches. They're pretty good up front. That's going to be a good matchup, and Penn State has finished the season pretty strong. So I don't think Penn State's going to win, but I think we could see an upset here. It's also tough to keep winning. I talked about that the other day. How we need to give Oregon some credit. I mean, need to give them a ton of credit for going 12-0 in a season like this. They're the only team that went undefeated, but it also means it's hard to stay undefeated. This team is due for a loss. So I wouldn't be shocked if Penn State won this game, but I do like Oregon. So yeah, these first 4 games, I don't think we're going to see an upset, but it wouldn't shock me if we did. Now, the last 2 games, these are basically toss-ups for me. All right, so let's go to Georgia, Texas. This one's at 4 o'clock Eastern time on ABC. Texas favored by 2.5 points in this one. Remember, Georgia won the first game, and that game was at Texas. And I think the reason why Texas is favored in this game is honestly just because of the way Georgia played against Georgia Tech. And that's cause for concern. Georgia has been so inconsistent this year. At times, they have looked really, really good. I like the Texas game. And you've seen the offense look really good. You've seen the defense look really good. But we've also seen the offense struggle. We've seen the defense struggle. So I don't know what this Georgia team really is. Texas has some momentum. They've been playing really well here down the stretch. So, again, it's a toss-up. Flip a coin in this one. I think it could go either way. I'm leaning towards Texas. I think they get some revenge here. But you guys know I say this all the time. When you see rematches in conference championship games, the team that won the first time, the team that won in the regular season, usually wins the rematch. And so that favors Georgia. So, yeah, I think Georgia absolutely could win. Again, if I had to make a pick, I'm going to say Texas by a field goal, but this one really could go either way. And then finally, we got UNLV at Boise State. This will be a Friday night game, 8 o'clock Eastern time on Fox. Boise State favored by 4. The first game was close. This will be the second game in this second time these teams played this year. The pressure is on, especially Boise State. Well, I guess pressure is on both teams. You got to win to get in the playoff. Now, there is a thought that if Boise State loses a really close game, they could still possibly get in the playoff. Are they going to drop a 1-loss Boise State team, or this would be then a 2-loss Boise State team behind a 3-loss Alabama team? I think that they would. I think they would drop out. But the committee's also said they wouldn't really penalize teams for playing in conference championship games. So that's going to be really interesting. It just feels like, I don't know, this is one where I think we might see an upset. So this is my most likely upset for conference championship week. I think UNLV actually might get this one over Boise State. I think, again, we're going to see 1 or 2 upsets in these conference championship games, and this is the one that I just think might actually happen. So those are the upset alert picks this week. Again, it's a different kind of video. I guess for the playoff, we'll do the same thing. We'll look at the first round matchups and kind of look at which ones are most likely to be upsets. But again, this is my most likely upset, and then my number 2 most likely upset would be the SEC championship. Not really big upsets with spreads only around 3 or 4 points, but still upsets. And again, that's what we have to work with this week. And give me your thoughts on these games. Who do you think is going to get upset in their conference championship game? Let me know down in the comments below.